Can you tell us about Darnold's preparation for Minnesota's opener?
Yeah, that was one of my training camp stops, and I talked to Kevin O'Connell about Sam Darnold when I was there, and he's a sympathizer. He really felt like he was going to be good, and he felt like he did mention that last year in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan, and seeing Sam Darnold as a player who, as he told me, has gotten to the point where he can compartmentalize each stop on his journey, the good and the bad, and kind of take from each, and then he talked about what he just mentioned in that press conference about sort of seeing how far they can push him mentally, right, and to the point where he really feels, Sam does, like he has ownership of the offense. O'Connell and that crew, that's where they want their quarterbacks to be, and they felt really good about Darnold's progress and that he was going to hit the ground running in week 1. I was there before J.J. McCarthy got hurt, Dan, and they were planning to start Sam Darnold week 1. Like, unless something crazy happened the rest of camp, they felt really good about where Darnold will be at this point.
I think he's done a remarkable job, week 1, of marrying his feet to the pass concept. And that's a lost art right now in the NFL. I remember in Carolina, Sam was bad at this, and he's really taken great growth. Okay, seam routes. Under center, watch his feet, okay? The marrying of his feet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one hitch, ball has to come out. 2.5 seconds. That's exactly how that route has to be thrown. Now a deep corner. This time it has to be 1, 2, 3 in the gun, 2 hitches at the top. 1, 2, 3, hitch, hitch, ball comes out. 3.4 seconds. That's exactly how the quarterback has to play in this offense. Deep 15-yard out. Now in the gun, this has to be 3 steps. Watch his feet with 2 hitches. Excuse me, 1 hitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ball out. Sam really struggled with this early on. He really struggled with it in Carolina. I remember doing a breakdown of Sam being ready to throw because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hitch, and the receivers weren't even close to the routes. You know this. Yeah. I think it's a lost art in much of the NFL right now, and he's really grown when it comes to, okay, my route has to, my depth, my drop has to have this type of pace with this type of feel, and I have to be ready to throw at this moment, marrying it with those routes. That's why you see some of the talent start to shine for a young guy that can throw it.
To your point, it feels like Sam Darnold is getting delayed development. Like, he's getting the development now in these last couple of years that you wish he would have got when he was with the New York Jets.
Kevin O'Connell.
Exactly, because to your point about his footwork, how it marries up with the play, he's playing like a quarterback who is confident in the play calls, who is confident in the coaching, and realizes this is not all on my shoulders. So if I just do what I'm told and I'm efficient, my receivers are going to be where they need to be. And that year in San Francisco, coupled with this week 1 performance, which was masterful, that 99-yard drive was very, very special. Now, my question for him is, it does not surprise me that someone with his physical tools can flash the way that he did in week 1.
The consistency.
Consistency is what will be the
I think that's a fair question. I think the way that the feet looked in week 1, that bodes, that tells me that is going to be a part of his game this year. Right. And the offensive line being as good as they are.
Remember they.
Yeah. And listen, first off, I've tried so hard to find Minnesota Vikings clips, and it was like, there's barely like any. I mean, this game was barely talked about. And I was like, this was such a highly anticipated game for me. And I was like so excited. And Monday came around and I couldn't find anything. I literally struggled to find any type of legit clip to kind of go off of and to react to. And so I found that really, really frustrating. I thought Colin Cowherd, I thought all these shows were going to maybe talk about Sam Darnold's reemergence, and they didn't. I guess the Vikings are just not cool enough, and Sam Darnold isn't cool enough. But I feel pretty good about this because I said Sam Darnold is going to be significantly better. And I like how what he said, Graziano said, that Sam Darnold was always the intended starter. And I said that months ago, well before J.J. McCarthy got hurt. And a lot of Vikings fans had mixed feelings about it. And this is what you get. Sam Darnold is a legitimate starting quarterback in the NFL when he is supported. When he is supported, when he has a legit coach. When I saw his limited opportunities in San Francisco, and I saw him step up. Even in the blowout loss when he came in for an injured Brock Purdy against the Ravens, he looked more comfortable than Brock Purdy that game. He just did. I'm not saying that he's a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. I'm not getting into that discussion whatsoever. But in that game, Sam Darnold stepped up and just looked so comfortable. And that was when it really clicked for me. I was like, okay, Sam Darnold has something. And when he has Shanahan and he actually has a team around him, he can get to work. I have no idea what Sam Darnold's ceiling is. I really don't. And I don't really have a strong desire to try to predict it or try to make some comparisons. But I do know that the Vikings can win some serious games with him, right? I mean, he looked dominant. I mean, he really did. He had a couple mistakes, of course, as all quarterbacks do. But when we look at how much quarterbacks struggled in week 1, some big names struggled and some big, young players struggled and seasoned veterans struggled. And you look at what Sam Darnold did. I mean, the dude looked great. He looked dominant. I think PFF had him ranked number 2, just under Brock Purdy, ironically. He looked so good. His connection and chemistry with Jefferson already was insane. I mean, it was so good. So good. And also the confidence to go behind him, 4th down, touchdown. Like, it was just big time. It really was. Week 1, we've just saw so many teams struggle, and I just did not see any true struggling. Now, the big caveat is, I have to be consistent with this, is, because I've said this about a lot of other games and a lot of other quarterback play, this was against the New York Giants. The New York Giants are seeming to shape up to be another terrible team, to be terrible for yet again another season, right? So make no mistake about it. There's still a lot more to learn about this Vikings team. A game like this is hard to have too many strong takeaways, which is why in a lot of ways I'll treat it almost like I don't want to say preseason because that's too strong, but it's just like, I can't just look at this game and say, oh my God, look at that victory. It was a big win. And when you play a bad team, you got to look good, right? You got to look good, and you better minimize your mistakes, and you better look comfortable. And they did that. So they passed that with flying colors. But in terms of kind of how much can I evaluate Minnesota's defense, that's just tough for me. It was going up against Daniel Jones and just a listless Giants team. And same thing even with the offense. That's why I was really looking for. We know Jefferson's going to ball out, but I was really looking for little things like, does the offensive line hold up? How comfortable was Sam Darnold? Did he move around the pocket, right? Just how confident did he look? Was there any times that he seemed to be overwhelmed? What was Kevin O'Connell's approach to this? How was he calling the game? What was his play? And he let it rip, right? He clearly full confidence in Sam Darnold, and to me, that's what goes a long way. That's why I don't even want to get lost too much in the 19 for 24, 208 yards and the score and too much of the box score, quite honestly. Like, I feel like this game, considering I just don't think the Giants are going to be anything, I'm just looking at, how did he look? I don't care about the numbers, don't care about anything. Like, how did he look? What was the play calling like? What was Kevin O'Connell's game plan going into this game? To me, that's what you could learn a lot about who this team thinks Sam Darnold is, and clearly they believe in him. Clearly, I think the Vikings can make some moves, and honestly, I was very much saying that I think the Chicago Bears could get into the playoffs, and I still think that's a possibility through the wild card. And although I don't think the Vikings will be able to win the division, which hey, who knows? It's anything's possible, especially in week 1, right? After week 1, anything is still possible. But it is crazy to think if the Vikings can get in through the wild card. There are a lot of great teams in the NFL right now. I really do believe that. I think there's a lot. I shouldn't maybe not say that there's a lot of great teams. There's a lot of teams that are all very close to each other in terms of talent. So I really need to see the Vikings play a handful more of games to really get a better view of how high can this go, right? How many games can this team win? It's just too hard of a takeaway when you face a team like the Giants, just like the Saints, demolishing the Panthers. It's like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? The Cowboys last year demolishing the Giants. It's like, okay, that was a great win. You put up a lot of points, and I think they shut them out if memory serves me correctly. But it's like it's against the Giants. Like, what are we talking about here? So yeah, in a few more games. But my God, can they please start putting out some more Minnesota Vikings content? I mean, this is an exciting story to me. Sam Darnold, Kevin O'Connell, like this is an exciting story. This is a redemption story for Sam Darnold, and a lot of people doubting the Vikings, right? And they looked sharp, they looked good. So I'd love to see more content. You guys know that I definitely try to put out Minnesota Vikings stuff as well. I thought for sure Colin Cowherd was going to do like a victory lap about Sam Darnold because he's super high on him. and there was just no real talk about it. There was a handful of teams that I feel like the media really just kind of was under, put under the radar. Just didn't really talk about them that much, and or at all for some teams. And I think Minnesota Vikings are one of them. And I'm curious if that was, any Minnesota Vikings fans, if that was your experience as well, because it was definitely mine. This was one of the main games that I watched live, and I don't really, I a lot of times I'll watch games on the replays and stuff because I can only watch so many games at once. I don't love to watch like the 8 games at the same time. I like to be able to like really watch it. And this was one of the games that I watched live. Like I was really, really excited. It was this game, the Chicago Bears game, it's Caleb's obviously first game. And it was actually the Falcons versus the Steelers, mainly because that was what was on like my actual TV that I had, on my local TV broadcast that I didn't have to pay for to get, the extra viewing of it. But this was a game that I was really excited to see. I really wanted to see what Sam Darnold was going to look like because, again, for months and months and months, I said, Sam Darnold is going to be better. He's going to be a good quarterback with the Minnesota Vikings. Just you wait and see. And then when J.J. McCarthy got injured, I was like, this is actually kind of a good thing. J.J. gets to rest. He gets to sit out for the whole year. He's going to learn a ton. He's going to develop. And you're going to be able to win some games with Sam Darnold. And that take ended up aging perfectly because look at all the rookie quarterbacks. All the rookie quarterbacks, they did not look, as advertised as a lot of people thought they were going to be. And I found the silver linings and said that those games weren't as bad as maybe people believed, but you can't hide it. They didn't come out as many people were anticipating them to come out. And I understand we all want to believe that maybe J.J. McCarthy would have been different. Maybe he would have. Facing against a team like the Giants, maybe he would have balled out. We don't know, but we don't have to assume that either, right? So it just again, it ends up being a good thing. So I think all good things are moving forward right now for the Minnesota Vikings. I think things are really shaping up and coming together nicely. And I'm really excited for the next few games to continue to see what Sam Darnold, the Vikings, and honestly the rest of the team and the defense as well, to see what they can get going. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Minnesota Vikings game? How do you think Sam Darnold looked? Do you think this is kind of fool's gold because they played against the Giants, or do you think this was a big-time win? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.